With a flicker of pseudo-motion, the X-Wing vanished into the safety of hyperspace. The Chimera's turbo-laser battery still firing uselessly for a second at where it had been. The batteries fell silent, and Pelion let out a long breath, afraid to look over at Thrawn's command station. It was the second time Skywalker had escaped from this kind of trap, and the last time he'd done so, a man had died for that failure. The rest of the bridge crew hadn't forgotten that either. In the brittle silence, the faint rustling of cloth against seat material was clearly audible as Thrawn stood up. "Well," the Grand Admiral said, his voice strangely calm, "one must give the rebels full credit for ingenuity. I've seen that trick worked before, but not nearly so effectively." "Yes, sir," Pelion said, trying without success to hide the strain in his voice. Out of the corner of his eye, he could see Thrawn looking at him. "At ease, Captain," the Grand Admiral said soothingly. "Skywalker would have made an interesting package to present to Master Sabaoth, but his escape is hardly cause for major concern. The primary objective of this exercise was to convince the rebellion that they'd discovered the clone conduit. That objective has been achieved." The tightness in Pelion's chest began to dissipate. If the Grand Admiral wasn't angry about it. "That does not mean, however," Thrawn went on, "that the actions of the Chimera's crew should be ignored. Come with me, Captain." Pelion got to his feet, the tightness returning. "Yes, sir." Thrawn led the way to the aft stairway and descended to the starboard crew pit. He walked past the crewers at their consoles, past the officers standing stiffly behind them, and came to a halt at the control station for the starboard tractor beams. "Your name," he said quietly to the young man standing at rigid attention there. "Ensign Mythel," the other said, his face pale but composed, the expression of a man facing his death. "Tell me what happened, Ensign." Mythel swallowed. "Sir, I had just established a positive lock on the freighter when it broke up into a cluster of track-reflective particles. The targeting system tried to lock on all of them at once and went into a loop snarl." "And what did you do?" Sir, I knew that if I waited for the particles to dissipate normally, the target starfighter would be out of range, so I tried to dissipate them myself by shifting the tractor beam into shear plane mode." "It didn't work." A quiet sigh slipped through Mythel's lips. "No, sir. The target lock system couldn't handle it. It froze up completely." "Yes." Thrawn cocked his head slightly. "You've had a few moments now to consider your actions, Ensign. Can you think of anything you should have done instead?" The young man's lip twitched. "No, sir. I'm sorry, but I can't. I don't remember anything in the manual that covers this kind of situation." Thrawn nodded. "Correct," he agreed. "There isn't anything. Several methods have been suggested over the past few decades for counteracting the covert shroud gambit, none of which has ever been made practical. Yours was one of the more innovative attempts, particularly given how little time you had to come up with it. The fact that it failed does not in any way diminish that." A look of cautious disbelief was starting to edge into Mythel's face. "Sir?" "The Empire needs quick and creative minds, Ensign," Thrawn said. "You're hereby promoted to lieutenant, and your first assignment is to find a way to break a covert shroud. After their success here, the rebellion may try the gambit again." "Yes, sir," Mythel breathed, the color starting to come back into his face. Thank you, sir." "Congratulations, Lieutenant Mythel." Thrawn nodded to him, then turned to Pelion. "The bridge is yours, Captain. Resume our scheduled flight. I'll be in my command room if you require me." "Yes, sir," Pelion managed, and stood there beside the newly minted lieutenant, feeling the stunned awe pervading the bridge as he watched Thrawn leave. Yesterday, the Chimera's crew had trusted and respected the Grand Admiral. After today, they would be ready to die for him. And for the first time in 5 years, Pelion finally knew in the deepest level of his being that the old empire was gone, The new empire, with Grand Admiral Thrawn at its head, had been born.